What's up, chuggers and squealers around the world? Welcome to Six String Sit Down. I'm your host, Mitch. Welcome to Eight String Sit Down. I'm your host, Mitch Wessel, and we're here with the powerful Erik Johnson. Appreciate you coming on the show, Erik. Thanks for coming on, man. Yeah, I'm going to start off with the easy one for you. How old were you when you first started playing, and what lit the spark for you?
Somewhere in middle school, I was probably, I want to say like 11 or 12. I kept saying, I want to play guitar. Older brother starting to play bass, and he'd been playing. My other older brother had a guitar, and I was like, I want to be like them, man.
Right.
Let me play some guitar. But I didn't have one. And finally, my dad came home and he was like, "Here, I found this at a yard sale." And it was a guitar. And it was like a Fender Squier kind of knockoff, and it was red and black. And I was like, "This is sweet, man." And then I go to play it, and I'm like, "Oh, it's left-handed."
Oh, your dad bought him a left-handed guitar.
yeah. So at first, I didn't play it too much because I'm like, "Oh, it's left-handed." But finally, my one older brother Steve, he finally let me play with his guitar because he stopped kind of having interest in it. And then it was just, listening to Metallica, Slayer, all that stuff. I was like, I want to play guitar. I want to play metal guitar.
So it was metal.
Yeah, it was right there. I mean, everybody starts to smoke on the water.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it was shortly like, all right, how do I play some Metallica riffs? Slayer,
That's awesome.
That was it, man.
So did you take any lessons, or were you kind of just self-taught through YouTube and just kind of learning?
It was. Well, luckily my older brothers already learned how to read guitar tabs, and they already knew some sites where I could get them. So, I immediately started right with, dude, just learn guitar tabs. This is going to be easy for you. And I was like, oh, you sure? And I'm like, all right, whatever. So I started learning guitar tabs. I did that for a long time. And I think somewhere in high school I was getting to a point where I was like, technically I think I'm good. I, got the speed. I can string skip. I can play. I can do solos, if I'm learning a cover song or something, or, learning some other metal band. But then I was getting to a point where I was like, I want to learn how to solo, and I think to do that, I think I need to understand some theory. So I went and was like, all right, let me get some lessons. So for one of my birthdays that came up, my dad had purchased it was 6 lessons or something at Middletown Music. I was like, all right, sweet, I'll go in, I'll learn some stuff. I didn't really learn much. It was tough. It was the first day they didn't know what my skill level was. They never asked. So the first day I went in there and the lady was not all that good, and it was she was there to teach the beginners. She was
right, kind of like your just basic cowboy chords, kumbaya.
Yeah, she's trying to teach the basics. And I'm like, no, I want to go past that. And she's like, and then and she was like, well, play something for me. And I'm playing, and she's like, I don't think I'm the right person to help you. So then that's one down. That counted as a lesson. So I got 5 left, man.
No refunds on that one.
Yeah, no refunds on that one. And then I took the other 5. I started learning a little bit, and then it was really coming down to you just play a bunch, and try to understand scales. And so I started understanding the idea of scales. Hey, you can pretty much kind of play all these notes, and they're going to give you this type of feel. And then if you want to have a different feel, you can try this flavor, right?
Right.
And so then I started having a little bit of a basic understanding, but then everything after that was I got YouTube, I got Google, I don't need it. I'm not going to pay for it because I think I can get the information through those sources or just playing with other people.
Right. So, I mean, you were kind of a part of that first generation, man. I remember, because I'm 30 now, and I was into my 20s. That's when YouTube started becoming prevalent. But you in your formative years, I had to go get a teacher, or tabs were kind of in and stuff like that. But you really, I remember you had a YouTube page early on and everything like that, man, doing Lamb of God covers and everything like that, man. Ever since you were pretty young.
Dude, I was 14. They're still on there. There's Lamb of God. There's plenty of Lamb of God covers. I think that was the first one where Lamb of God was the next band I got into. It was more new age metal, not like the Slayer, Metallica, all them, and I just played, and I would just I probably have like 4 or 5 covers of them on there.
Yeah.
14-year-old Eric, not really knowing much.
Dude, that's awesome. I mean, God, Lamb of God, what a band to start with, though. I mean, shoot, man. So in 2010, you formed the metal band Born with Open Eyes with fellow guitarist. It's Alex Katorkis. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Katorkis.
How'd that go down, man? How'd you guys meet, and how did you guys kind of start playing at the same time? You meet in school? How'd that happen?
So I've known Alex ever since he moved to Delaware. I think when I was in like the 7th grade. So I started knowing him then. That was right at the point where like I'd only been playing guitar for like a year. He had started playing bass, and so we started knowing each other through school, and then outside of school, 8th grade, like, all right, this guy plays guitar, this guy plays guitar, this guy plays bass, and then when I got into like 2010, we're in high school, we're getting close to it, we're in high school, and I ended up finding this drummer finally. I was like, all right, I found this drummer, and he's like, all right, I got this buddy, he plays bass, so he brings him in, and then my good buddy Jeff, who was our old drummer, he was like, yo, I want to do vocals. This is before he played drums. He didn't play drums. He'd hopped around, he tried playing guitar, vocals, he like had the passion, he was like, I want to do vocals. He was all right. And we're like, all right, cool. So we got vocals, bass, I'm playing guitar, we got a drummer, and then Alex, he was playing bass in another band, and he was like, hey man, like I kind of been thinking about playing guitar, like, and I was like, if you buy a guitar, man, like we'll try that, because I knew he could play bass, so I was like, well, if you really got passion around it. So then he buys a guitar, starts buying all the equipment for it, and then he just picked up guitar so quickly from transferring from bass, it was like damn near caught right up, and I'm like, dude, perfect, awesome. So now he's got the bass background, but he's playing guitar just as well, if not better.
That's awesome, man, and that's basically all she wrote. That's basically all she wrote.
Since then, I'm like, dude, you're my dude.
Yeah, I mean, you guys got killer chemistry. I mean, you guys are both on your own ridiculous players, but together, it's rare to find. I mean, you guys been together almost a decade now, right? I mean,
yeah, dude, actually, yeah.
It's coming up on. You've been up and at it for a while now, man.
Songwriting and hanging out. He's a good buddy. He's one of my best friends, so it's real easy. We can come together, and I mean, here and there we butt heads. Who doesn't? And I'll try to go one way with writing. He'll try to go another way, and then we compromise. And then looking back, we're like, all right, that was actually the best thing we could have done.
Yeah, right.
So it always in the end, it always works out. And we're like, I think we make each other better, because it definitely we got good chemistry. Yeah.
Well, in the middle of that, you guys kind of you've been grinding with the band for a while. You've been working on your craft ever since you were young kids. You kind of took a little bit of an adventure, man, and in the middle of that, you guys got a call, and you kind of went out to France, you and Alex, and joined a band. You wrote and performed and gigged for a little bit with a band called Nightshade. What was that experience like, man? What was the scene like over there? What was the experience like?
That whole thing, looking back now, I'm like, that was ridiculous. Like, I don't know how everything lined up the way it did, but it was like, he was looking for a drummer. He found this guy in Maryland who we had played local shows with, and he was like, do you know, would you want to join? He was like, I'm still in high school. I still got a year, like, to finish. Yeah. I know this. He was like, well, do you know any other really good drummers? And he was like, well, I just played this show with this band, Born with Open Eyes. Their drummer is ridiculous. Hit him up. So they go and they hit up our drummer, Jeff. So then Jeff actually joined for a little bit. He was there. He joined playing drums, and they had a whole U.S. tour that I wasn't a part of. So Jeff joined and then needed a guitarist, so Alex joined. And then they were like, we're going to get a vocalist at some point. So then our vocalist joins. So at one point, everybody but me and my band goes on a bus, tours the whole U.S.
Yeah.
While I'm still in college. And then when we got back, when they all got done all that, it was like, hey, we want to go to France. We want you to come here so we can sit down. We're going to record a whole album, do a music video, and we're going to tour Europe. At that point, Jeff was not able to. The guy from Maryland now graduated, so then he hops on board. And then so I joined as well. So then it ended up being me, Alex, our vocalist at the time, and that drummer from Maryland. We all fly over to France, and we're living in the smallest apartment. It is a 1-bedroom apartment in France, in the city. We're like 4 floors up, crammed in this apartment. So we have 4 dudes sleeping in a living room.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was rough.
Man.
And it wasn't even on beds. We're on 2 fold-out couches. Or like, they were futon. They were like this. Like, there was like 2 of these.
How long were you guys out there for?
3 months. We were
3
there
months
for
straight?
3 months straight. We spent primarily the first 2 months doing nothing but practicing, finishing, writing the songs. We didn't even have all the songs ready. Like, we had been sending guitar profiles back and forth, but not all the songs were complete by any means. So a lot of it was writing and recording. So, like, there were plenty of days it was like, wake up 8 a.m., start recording by 9, stay in the studio all the way until 10 p.m., go back to bed. And it would be on cycles where, like, you know, I wouldn't always have to do that.
Yeah.
And then when my part came, I was doing that for like a week or two. And
right.
While everyone else, they would go to the practice spot and they would jam. We were renting a practice area that already had a drum kit and some amps. And so that was for the most of the part of those 2 months. And we got all the recording done, did the music video, and then it was like this last like 2 weeks, let's go around and tour all the, like part of Europe and just go around and play shows.
How was that? The
shows were awesome. So one of the shows we actually were on like one of the festivals. That's one of the big metal festivals in Europe called Euroblast.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was actually had some pretty big names. A lot of them were all European, but there were a few American bands. Like After the Burial was one of the headliners.
Nice.
Which was really nice because when we're all sitting backstage, we started talking. They're like, "Wait, you guys speak English?" Like, because they were like one of the only bands from from the U.S.
So you bonded like right away.
So it was like right away. It was like we like hung out that night. And we're talking. And he's like, "Yeah, check out my guitar." And then we're talking about 8 strings because they play 8 strings.
That's
so
awesome.
It was like
man.
It was kind of cool. I got to meet some dudes from a band that I idolized, and I probably wouldn't have got that opportunity just going to a show in the U.S. and. So that was really cool. Some of those shows were really, really cool and packed, and the feedback was relatively good.
That's awesome, man.
So the metal scene over there is very much alive.
No, it's huge over there. They have great festivals, man.
They're huge, great festivals, and I think they do treat their bands a little bit better as far as like making sure they have a place to stay. So like some of the places we would play at, some of them were bars, and the guy was like, "I'm going to make you a fresh meal, like, before you guys go on and all that stuff." So he before the bar even opened, he was, like, cooking us lunch and stuff. And he was like, "You can sleep here in the bar if you don't have a place to stay."
I was going to ask you, like, what you ate, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, so you
guys made out pretty good then.
He would, he paid us, and he was like, "You can sleep here. It's cool. I live right upstairs. Let me know if you need anything." So then we didn't have to pay for staying at a hotel. We didn't have to sleep in the van. Like,
dude, that's killer then. That's awesome, man.
Pretty cool, man.
So I was actually going to ask you. You mentioned the 8 string. You know, when in your journey, at what point did you decide to make the jump from 6 string to 8 string? And in that process, did you ever have a 7 string to transition?
So, somewhere when I was first playing guitar, I had purchased a 7 string, and it was on eBay, and it was signed by Korn. And I was like, Korn was my jam. So besides like Metallica and Slayer, they like my brothers. It was all like Limp Bizkit, Korn.
I know it.
You know it.
I know it.
And so I was all stoked about that, and they played 7 strings. So that's what kind of got me into that. But it wasn't that great of a guitar. It was an Ibanez Geo. It was a really cheap. It was the low scale Ibanez, and I'm almost not even sure if it was really signed by him.
Some dude in his basement.
But yeah, it was on eBay for like $300. I was really excited. I saved up all my money, and I was like, "Mom, don't give me anything for my birthday. Just give me the rest of the money I need. Buy this." So I had that in like 7th or 8th grade, and I ended up selling it because I didn't play it because it didn't really play well, and I didn't really see a lot of use for it. I kept playing. I had a BC Rich at the time.
Right.
So then I had the BC Rich. Kept playing. We're playing metal. We're doing drop tuning. So I started playing the 6 string, essentially playing what the top 6 strings of a 7 string are. So I was like, my solution was just detuning the whole guitar.
Right.
So added an extra spring so it could handle the tension. Just detuning that thing because it also had a Fluid Rose. So I really had to deal with the springs.
I was saying, which is already a mess, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is.
It's more.
I had an Ibanez S series, with a floating bridge growing up. So.
And then, but yeah, so then really, I really did go from like 6 straight to 8, and there was definitely a contemplation. Like, me and Alex were both talking, and we knew we were gonna get a new guitar soon, and we're like, what do we want to do? And 8 strings just started coming out. We just started getting into After the Burial, and this is like right around 2010. I think I got this guitar in 2010.
Okay.
And we got to a point, and it was like, nah, fuck it. Go big or go home.
Right.
Just get an 8. Let's get an 8.
Yeah. Yeah. Why not? Why get a 7 when you just
why go 7
anyway?
when get 8? So we get 8 string guitars, and they're like, now what? So some of our early songs we had to try to transpose and figure out. like all the leads we had to refigure out because we were used to playing on, these inner 6.
Right.
And now we have this extra one. So, when you're tuning, you always do like 5 open, 5 open, 5 open.
Right.
And then you get to 4 open. Now that's moved. So like a lot of leads, I had to learn them basically.
I was going to ask you about that too. On a feel level, what was some of the biggest things you had to overcome at first?
Really,
just the neck size?
Overall neck size. So not only it's 2 strings wider. Typically, any 8 string is going to be a baritone size. So it's going to go from, instead of 25 and a half, which is pretty common for 6 strings,
right.
Easily 27 is like the minimum.
Yeah.
Either 27, 28, they even have 30.
Well, it has to be for the tension, right?
It has to be for you to get. If not, you have to keep going up extremely high in your string gauge to get that low of a note. So the benefit of going longer is you can get that deeper note with a smaller gauge string.
Gotcha. Do you ever miss a 6 string, man? You ever go back and play one every once in a while? And it just feels like a little kid guitar because it's so small.
So I ended up selling all my other guitars. So like this is it. Like I have this, a really really shitty like Fender Squier that's signed by Kerry King that I'm not going to get rid of.
Yeah, right.
And then an acoustic. But anytime, every so often, like I'll go in a Guitar Center and I'll pick one up and I'm like, like this thing is it's tinier, it's thinner, and it's like you can just do everything faster. It's almost like you play this for a while, you're gonna get better at your 6 string.
Yeah, for sure.
Like
it's almost like practicing on acoustic all the time or something. It's easier to play.
No, it's exactly that. So I don't really have one that I want to fiddle on all the time, other than like an acoustic. But if I'm playing anything metal, like I almost don't even want to touch a 6 string,
right?
Because I'm so used to this. I've been playing this for 9 years now, just 8 strings. Like anytime I'm jamming or practicing,
so, I mean,
I'm picking these
what
up.
it is now. That's your comfort zone at this point. So, well, man, in 2018, your band Born with Open Eyes released your debut album Fracture, which is a killer album, dude. Technical riffing, so precise, so technical, super exciting to listen to. I mean, if you're in the metal, go check it out. Look at the playthroughs online. I had to ask you, man, writing that technical music, what is that process like, man? I mean, do you guys have like a whiteboard in the room where like you keep tracks of the amount of riffs that you have? I mean, it's not your typical intro, verse, pre-chorus, chorus,
Yeah.
It's pretty technical.
On this album in particular, so we've started to change a little bit with how we write now and newer stuff because we're starting to metal music is really, you spend, I don't know, an hour and you maybe wrote like 10 seconds.
Yeah, dude.
And
it's like an Olympic sport.
Yeah, so you spend a lot of time, a lot of investment to write these riffs. And does it pay off? Yeah, I think so. I mean, at the end, you have a really great sounding product. And with a lot of metal music and a lot of stuff we did on this album, we didn't really repeat much at all. And if we did, we brought it back different. We would bring the same theme, but now it's played on instead of being a chord, it'll be like, tremolo picked or something.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of that. For the most part, every section is different. You couldn't copy paste anything, right?
No, yeah, that's pretty incredible, man. It's pretty remarkable.
A lot of these songs are actually written throughout a long period of time. So even though this came out 2018, we actually didn't write. Everything was written by 2016.
Okay.
And there's even a song, even one of the oldest songs that's from 2010 or 2011 era.
Just kind of redone.
But it was like let's put this on. We never got to give it the justice.
Yeah.
But for many of the other previous recordings, because this was our first time of like, we're gonna do this right. We're gonna send this out. We're gonna get it mixed and mastered. We're gonna do our diligence here. We're not gonna just do homemade. Recording. And so, so writing for this was it was really throughout a long period of time.
Yeah.
Here and there,
just kind of you and Alex lock yourself in a room, kind of thing.
No,
you guys just kind of send riffs back and forth.
It really changes. So initially, at first, there was like I would write most of a song, and then Alex would go through it and filter everything that was like garbage, or he would add in all this extra stuff to make it so like instead of playing a riff 4 times, you're really doing like a A B A C kind of style,
right?
Where you're always changing the ending to add a little extra.
Nice.
He would do a lot of that. Then he started writing some songs where he'd get mostly through. So everything you hear on this album is like, it really is pretty much a 50-50 split. But some songs are 80% me or 80% Alex. Then there's and they were written separately. Like he was at his computer, he was writing, recording, doing the drums, everything. And then then there are a few songs that are pretty much a 50-50 split, and we were in the same room and we're sitting there and we're coming up with ideas. So it's like, it's kind of a mix.
Yeah.
So like, and so namely, like, the very first song on the album is a very much so a very good mix between me and Alex writing. So him writing he did a whole lot with the intro, with all the orchestral instruments.
Yeah.
He does a lot of that stuff. So a lot of the background, like, I would almost say atmospherical stuff, usually he handles that. So if I come up with some breakdown or something, he's going to come up with something really cool to put underneath it that just sets the mood, makes it sound either creepy. Yeah.
All the ornamentations and stuff.
He does a lot of that. And I try to just get, like, I really try to get a lot of the raw riffs to just get the structure together.
Yeah.
And get it going from one riff to the other.
Right.
To the other. But,
awesome, man.
Yeah, it's good because with somebody like him, we can both play the same thing. Like, it's not really possible for me to write something that I can play that he can't, or vice versa.
Which is
always
rare,
like,
man. Which is pretty rare.
Which is super. Awesome. It's like having two lead guitar players. So a lot of times, like, we're harmonizing each other, or if you come up with a solo, you're playing it. But it's not always. You'll hear, like, there might be a solo that I did, there might be a solo he did. Whoever comes up with it gets to play it.
That's awesome. That's cool, man. That's super cool, man. So what's on the horizon for you guys, man? What's coming up for you guys? Any gigs? Anything else coming up? Any videos? Anything?
We do need to get some videos. We're slacking. So we really wanted to have a music video to help support that 2018 release in October. Didn't happen with our scheduling. Like, we're all working full time.
Absolutely, yeah.
We're all busy. And now Alex is he's working a lot, and he's going to school. So it's like, it starts to get complicated. So we don't usually have a lot of time to devote to a lot of these things. So we've been wanting to do a drum playthrough, which we'll probably get here shortly, hopefully in the next month or two. But we do have two shows coming up. We have one that's on May 25th, I believe, whatever that Saturday is.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's at Halftime up in Bear, Newark area. And then June 14th, we are headlining a show at Bar 13.
Nice.
So we got those two coming up.
Awesome, man. Well, I'm gonna finish up with the. I ask everybody this question, and since you're a metal guy, you can. I thought about this earlier. It's who's on your Mount Rushmore guitar, and since you're a metal guy, I will give you the option to pick tandems as one, because a lot of bands have like two guitarists. To kind of make their sound. So
I don't know if I were. I feel like I would look at it two different ways. So. I'll give you the one that I think I can actually fill it out appropriately.
Let's do that.
If I were to think of like metal guitar soloists, like who do I hear guitar solos from? I'm like, I want to sound like that guy.
Right.
The first person would be Jason Richardson. Not sure if you're familiar with him, but he's been in a lot of different bands. He now has his own solo album. He's really good. He takes a lot of influence from the next guy I put on that list, John Petrucci. So you kind of have him up there. He's a master of metal. And especially solo. He's very technical. And so those two guys you'll actually hear, like, they're kind of the same. They're not the same, but they're very similar in their style. But Jason Richardson really takes the same kind of metal approach that, like, we take to our music. Like, it's that same genre of heavy metal.
Yeah.
But he also does that with soloing. So it's like to hear that. Who else? I don't know the guy's name. I think it's Brian, but the newest guitar player from the Black Dahlia murder, he is actually really, really good. So I got to see them live, and they were like, "This is our new guitar player," and he's just killing it. He's playing their old solos like top notch, and then his new stuff, he's really good. I don't know who a fourth would be. Really trying to think.
Come on, I know you got one.
Yeah,
you got one.
Oh, Tosin Abasi. Yeah. Tosin Abasi.
Yeah,
and
he's pretty incredible, man.
It's really, he does really interesting solos, and he really does a good job of writing things not in 4/4, but you don't feel like it's odd time. Like, there's been plenty of times I'm listening and I'm able to bang my head.
Yeah.
And then when I actually think about it, I'm like, he's not playing a 4/4, but he did it so well that you're totally cool with it.
Well, and that's the key, I feel like, to odd time stuff. Is to,
right.
Yeah, you don't want it to be weird. Too weird. Like, I mean, sometimes you do, for, like, if you're going for that niche, but, I mean, you want people to be able to nod their head, or, I mean, it's going to kind of lose them after, make them feel seasick a little bit, But, I mean, hey, man, that's awesome, dude. That's killer, man. But I appreciate you coming on, dude.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks a lot, Eric.
Yeah.
You're the man.